Hi there, gonna do another week one video. So everyone just get in your Wayback Machine, TARDIS, go talk to Marty McFly or anyone on the Star Trek captains. So this week one, it's gonna be about friends and family. So you've had a friend or a family member, someone you care about, have a stroke. So you've had to hear either from that person directly, or from a hospital or a co-worker, whatever the case may be, that, hey, so-and-so's had a stroke. That's going to be pretty world-rocking for you, right? And for those of you that have to, unfortunately, observe that stroke happening, I can only imagine how scary that would have been for you, right? So, for those of you that need to get to the hospital, do so safely. When you get to the hospital, it's going to look pretty scary, right? Your family member is probably going to be in the ICU unit, right? They're probably going to be hooked up to a whole bunch of machines that go ping, right? And they might not be talking very well at all. Or there is the flip side of that. They might not be all that lucid, right? They might be unconscious, right? There are many situations can present. I can't speak to every scenario because, unfortunately, I only know what happened with me. But so everyone's probably going to want to visit, right? However, I'm going to suggest in the first week or so, you don't want to visit, right? Maybe, right? Or the person that's had the stroke may not be able to handle the visits. There's only so much they're able to process, deal with. It all depends, right? It's not an easy thing to deal with, right? So you're going to feel helpless. The person in the bed is definitively going to feel helpless. Not much you can do about that, to be quite honest, right? And that's just the truth of the matter, right? Now then, let's talk about getting out of the hospital. So once you're out of the hospital, the first week or so, right, for the family members of those that had a stroke, you're going to have to simplify your life a little bit. The person that's had the stroke, they're going to need a lot of help. Now, during that first week and a bit, the person that's had the stroke needs to avoid any form of confusion, frustration, or anxiety, right? And that means the family and friends of those immediately around that person that's had the stroke have to do everything they can do to avoid creating confusion, frustration, and anxiety. I did a video about that the first week or so after my stroke. So if you, and that can be something as simple as you need to be very direct in your communication. That could be something as like, don't say, hey, what is that? And then point in the direction of 238 million that's. Or even 15 that's. What is that? Well, which that do you mean? Oh, the yellow that. Okay, there's only 7 yellow that's out of the 130 that's that you pointed at. Like, could be keeping your sentences congruent one to the next. And then, don't randomly just bring stuff up. Could be you can only handle one person talking at a time. If you're like my parents, for example, they have 2 different cell phones. I had to tell my parents I can't deal with 2 conversations and 2 different text strings. For the next little while, you're going to have to keep it to one phone because I'm just going to get lost, right? For friends that want to visit, I appreciate you're going to want to visit straight away. Um, if it's in a hospital, yeah, that might be doable. I had some friends visit me in the hospital. Once you get home, though, I'll be honest, for the first week or two, I wasn't really up to visits that often, if at all. It took a while because I was spent, like just physically, emotionally, mentally. I would have good days could turn into iffy days. Iffy days could turn into horrid days, and good days could turn into horrid days. Like there was no real reason why things would happen at times. So now then, when you do come to visit, right? Um, Now I'm lucky. I have friends from work and that come over all the time. They help me with things like go grocery shopping or whatever else. They're very helpful, and I'm appreciative for it. Right? When you do visit, um, don't come with an agenda. Well, we're going to do this and this and this and this. Right? Whatever is able to be accomplished during that visit gets accomplished. And if it's something as simple as just a game of cribbage or euchre or go to the library. Right? Unfortunately, with a stroke, I can't predict what I'm good for in a given day right now. Right? I couldn't tell you that I could get up right now and I could handle 7 hours of activity out in the world. Right? It's not something I can easily predict. Right? And nor can anyone else that's had a stroke. So there's no way for you to be able to definitively tell me what I'm going to be able to do in a day because I can't tell you what I'm good for in a day. Another thing, just be supportive, right? If someone that's had a stroke tells you they need a specific thing from you, um, it's them being realistic, right? And some people that have had a stroke, they might be hesitant, right? They don't want to come off as pushy or as, I don't know, sound demanding. Well, if you've had a stroke, guess what? I think you get a free pass on that for a while, right? I had to give my parents rules about communicating because their form of communication for the first week or so was just not good, right? Yeah, not good at all. So, and I had to give them rules like this is the way this is going to be. These are the rules, right? Like it or lump it, I don't care. These are the rules, and I'll tell you when I no longer need these rules. But right now, for now, you got to follow these rules. It's that simple, right? There's nothing I can do about that, right? There's nothing you can do about that. Unfortunately, that's what your brain needs to recover, right? And then just be there, right? Be as helpful and be as present, but be mindful, right? Of what's going on because this is probably the most difficult thing you're ever going to get to do. Yeah, it is. It is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. Right? And I've had to do a few difficult things here and there, and this is definitively the worst of it all. Not much you can do about what's going on, right? When it comes down to what's happening for your stroke. And your friends and family members, right? They'll be great to help get you out and be activated, right? Do things in the world. Um, you know. Now, let's just take your average grocery store environment. Let the stroke person push the cart. It gives them a better sense of balance. Although sometimes I felt better walking beside the cart and holding onto it with my good hand, which is my left, and like full on grasping it, right? Just be mindful when you do take that person out into the world for the first couple times. There's going to be times where they're good for you walk into a Walmart, a grocery store, Shoppers Drug Mart, whatever the case may be. You walk into that store, and that person's only good for 10, 20, 30 minutes of activity in that store. And if at some point during the activity, that person says, I'm done, like, I am done, this is over, right? Don't argue it. It's done, right? That person has reached their tipping point and they've recognized for themselves they can't do it, right? So if that person who's had a stroke says they are done, right, this is over, right? It's because they've recognized that their brain just isn't going to play ball anymore, and they need to get out of that scenario, right? So there may be occasions where you're in a grocery store doing something, and they're just like, "We're done, right? Don't bother paying for the groceries. They need to get away, right?" And that's gonna happen, right? That's happened to me, right? Where I'm in the middle of something, like, "Nope, can't finish this. Nope, time to go home now," right? And I've been there and I've done that. So for the friends and family of those that have had a stroke, right, I realize that you're in a bit of a difficult ride. And I appreciate the fact that you might feel helpless at times, because trust me, the person that had the stroke, they feel more helpless at times than you'll ever know. And I appreciate there's things you think you want to do or need to do. The only advice I have for you is this: listen to the person that's had the stroke. Right? They'll tell you what they need, and they'll tell you what they don't need. It is what it is, right? And there's not much you can do about it. So at that point, if you if for the last 9 weeks you like what you've seen here, please like, share, subscribe with your friends. If you don't, quit watching. You're just torturing yourself at this point. And if you happen to see either in yourself or someone around you the signs or symptoms of stroke, that being facial droop, slurring or stuttering of speech, inappropriate word usage for situation or context, inability to raise both arms equally or effectively, inability to smile equally or effectively or at all, general body weakness on one side, or inability to stand unaided, please immediately place that person in a position of comfort and dial 911. Something so simple could save a life.